Yes, everybody. It is the Thursday Night Forum, and we are back. Hope everybody had a great um, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Hope everybody had a great Christmas holiday break. Um, yes, listen, I was away visiting family, so I had a great time. It was a good holiday. It was a good Christmas. And Arsenal, Jesus came to Arsenal this Christmas. But as I always say, Jesus is for the whole of the year and not just for Christmas. So we need Gabriel Jesus to step up and keep doing what he's been doing. So this is Arsenal fan circle here. It is the new year. The year is 2025. Let's hope that we can talk about the year 2025 as one that will bring Arsenal back onto the trophy trail, putting some things in the cabinet because that's what it's all about. I've always said that winning trophies is what it's all about. And Arsenal have gone on the journey from the FA Cup um, last decade. Got to say it, last decade, and 2020. Um, they're putting FA Cups in the trophy cabinet, and Arsenal have tried to make that step up to title challenges. We've done that the last 2 years. I believe we can get back into it this year as well. Liverpool have stolen a march on us, and it is up to us and this team to wear Liverpool down again. And listen, we'll talk about it. And I expected uh, from the last international break in November till now, there was 7 or 8 games, and I truly did expect Arsenal to close the gap to Liverpool. What's happened is that we have maintained, or Liverpool have maintained, the gap to Arsenal. So we haven't actually eaten away at their lead yet. I say yet because I still believe it can happen in the new year, into February, into March. It's a long way to go, and we are only halfway in the league right now. But 2 draws from Arsenal before the channel went away for a few weeks here at Fulham, away from home. A point better from last season, but needed to get 3 points against Fulham. Liverpool in turn dropped 2 points at home to Fulham. Also, there are a few teams in the Premier League right now who can be dangerous, and Fulham are one of those teams, boosted by a couple of Arsenal players and boosted by some existing Arsenal players in their team. The other points that Liverpool dropped were Newcastle away from home. I think it was a 3-3 draw. And Arsenal could not take advantage against Everton. Everton coming alive for a little bit for a few games. And I did hope that Everton would play Liverpool in the last Goodison, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. But Storm Dara interrupted that for us Gunners as well. Um, but yeah, um, Arsenal drawing to Everton as well. These are the results that we may rue one or two of these results in the end, but we have to continue to play, continue to win games, and take it in the context of um, the last few games as well with the 3 wins that we've had. I can show you as well where we're at. Um, yeah, we've had a run of 3 wins either side of those 2 draws. So in the last 8 games, we've won 6 and drawn 2. In the context of that, that's not a bad run. The 2 losses and 2 draws there um, is the painful reading for us Arsenal fans. Tonight, I'm hoping to be joined by Alonso. Tony may drop by as well, and also Gary. Gary may stop by as well. So, Happy New Year to all of you! And listen, let's get into it. Throw some comments in the comment section. We will talk about it. But there is a huge game on Saturday against Brighton now, and it will be about 10 days. After that, where we go into some cup action. January is going to be a huge month for not only Arsenal, but for other teams, and wanting to be in the mix. Very interesting what's happening in the Carabao Cup right now, the EFL Cup. There's four teams in this semi-final lineup. Arsenal, are playing Newcastle, and Liverpool are playing Tottenham. So if everything goes to plan, we're probably going to be playing Liverpool in the final of the Carabao Cup, and that's a competition that all four managers will want to win. Ange Postecoglou, they always win. He always wins trophies in his second season. Well, we'll see. Um, Arnie Slot coming to Liverpool, wanting to put some silverware on the in the cabinet as well. Will Liverpool have been strong up till now? Will they keep going into February and win the Carabao Cup and then die away? You know what I mean? Um, Anyhow, Newcastle and their owners, they'll be wanting a trophy in there as well. And of course, let's be greedy. Arsenal fans here, we want the Carabao Cup as well. We want to put some trophies in the cabinet as well. Um, it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years since the FA Cup, 2020, and so could we go and win an FA Cup again? Could we go and win the league this year? We're live in all four competitions: the Carabao Cup, the EFL Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, a new format that needs to be navigated by a lot of teams, and the Premier League, your bread and butter, right? But Premier League is right now is I want to say is going to be two teams: Arsenal coming to the fore to try to chase down Liverpool, and that will be your title race this coming season. Yeah, listen, if you cannot hope and get behind your team, that's what you got to do as supporters. That's what we have to do, and hope that Arsenal continue to win games despite Bukayo Saka's injury. So yeah, listen, let's get into your comments here. And Stephen, thanks for dropping them in here as well. Stephen, thanks for being here first tonight. Evening, lads. Hope you enjoyed the holidays. Yeah, it was definitely good holidays. Enjoyed by seeing some wins after that Everton draw. Gabriel Jesus rescuing the quarterfinal. We went to goal down against Crystal Palace at home, but Gabriel Jesus scoring 3 goals. We didn't see that coming, right? But he came alive, and we all joked about it. Eddie and Nketiah scoring against Arsenal. It happened, albeit as kind of a consolation goal for him. So yeah, we enjoyed the holidays. We rubber stamped ourselves into a semi-final against Newcastle, and there's no reason not to be confident against Newcastle. They're going to make it a battle. They're going to make it tough. They're going to make it physical. But at the end of the day, Arsenal football should overcome them at the end of the day. And it's going to be important. This month, we will play the home leg against Newcastle, and it'll be about 3 or 4 weeks. It'll be February until we meet them up at Tyneside. So we need to take decent advantage to Newcastle. The tie will not be finished at the Emirates. I don't see Newcastle being blown away, and there will be a lot to play for to get to a final next February, or next month. So yeah, listen, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to all the Gooners out there. BX Gunner, indeed, we are back for what it is. It's just me for right now, but we'll see what happens, see who joins. The links are out there. Alonzo, Tony, maybe Gary. Greetings, everyone, BX Gunner. What a time to be alive in 2025. It kind of rhymes, doesn't it, Jose, BX Gunner? And you know what? For this thing to work, for Mikel Arteta to, continue to move as Arsenal manager, I mean, it's important to pick up a trophy, have some kind of success this season. Um, what will it be like if he doesn't? There'll be a few dissenting voices, but Arsenal is set up now to go and get some trophies, and we needed before Bukayo Saka's injury. We needed um, a couple of players in January. We needed some help. We needed some more firepower up front. None of us, I don't think anyone could say we were running down the streets with happiness in the summertime with the incomings that we got. Calafiori and Marino were long sagas, especially Mikel Marino. Neto was a goalkeeper that we picked up. Um, Ramsdale was sold. We all knew that was happening, but the nature of our summer business with the European Championships and the compressed nature of our preseason, none of us were happy. None of us rated that transfer window 10 out of 10, you know, at varying degrees. Well, I was about the 7.5, 7.5, but we didn't get a striker. We didn't get a forward. We just got Raheem Sterling, and he's also injured now at the time that Bukayo Saka is injured. So important to go out and get a player, maybe one, maybe two, that's going to help supplement the attacking prowess that we're losing through Bukayo Saka being injured. Stephen, thanks. With the way we play, most teams out there are a danger to us. If we don't score more than one goal, we're always vulnerable to losing points. We have stopped. We have stopped playing not to lose. Yeah, I think there's some validity to what you're saying, Stephen. We're not Liverpool. We don't try to blow teams away. Uh, Generally, we don't win games 4-2. We win games 2-0. We don't win 3-1. We win, 2-0 again. So they're always close games. And if we can see the goal, um, such as we did against Brentford, such as we did against Crystal Palace, it's always likely to be a dangerous result. And we've had a couple of those last season. We are still the Arsenal we were last season. We're tracking a little bit behind where we were last season, but we're right there and ready to make a push now in the new year. So definitely going to believe that it's going to happen. Evening all. Evening, Miss Melina. Hey, Miss M. Hope you had a good holiday season. So listen, uh, yeah, look at that. We're halfway through the season. We've dropped 16 points. We're tracking a little bit behind. We're about 6 points behind where we need to be. If we want to hit that 90-point mark, which is generally where the titles have been won in recent years, we need to be around 45 points, and we're on 39 points right now. 6 points off of where we need to be. So there is some work that needs to be done in the second half of the season. Um, so I have maintained, and I will continue to maintain this, right? I'm not changing. Um, Liverpool have played a lot of teams. A lot of teams in the top half, they've played a lot of them at home. So, um, I'm contending. It's a very strange season right now, especially the first half of the season. We have seen Liverpool storm into a lead and taken advantage of the difficult schedule that Arsenal have had, especially. Um, Chelsea had been there, but they've dropped off recently as well. Um, Liverpool home games they've beaten City, a horrible, terrible City team right now, and City went there with no ambition at the height of their misfortunes, and were beaten soundly 2-0. Liverpool have gone on to beat Villa, Chelsea, Brighton, Bournemouth at home as well. Now on the flip side of that, Liverpool in the second half of the season, they've got to go away to City, they've got to go away to Forest, they've got to go away to Villa, We've got to go away to Chelsea. They've got to go away to Brighton. They've got to go away to Bournemouth. You know, so these are all very very tough games, and also they've got to go away to Brentford, which is coming up this month as well. In a couple of weeks, they're going to go to Brentford. Um, Combine that with some of the teams that might be struggling for points at the bottom. West Ham, they got to go away to West Ham. They got to go to Goodison Park, as I've mentioned earlier as well. So I'm expecting Arsenal to have the kind of second half of the season that Liverpool have enjoyed for the first half of the season. So you see where I'm coming from here now. Arsenal will now start to enjoy some of the bigger teams at the Emirates as well. We have got to play City in February. We will have Villa in January. We will have Tottenham in January at the Emirates. Chelsea will have to come to the Emirates. Bournemouth will get revenge against Bournemouth. Um, so there's a lot to play for in the Premier League. And I've highlighted the Carabao Cup. There's a lot to play for in the Carabao Cup. FA Cup is something that Arsenal have always traditionally been involved in until the last 3 or 4 years. And that's something that we want to get back into. And then we have an outstanding chance in the Champions League. If you look around Europe right now, yes, there's Real Madrid. But we could rub shoulders with Liverpool or any of the other teams out there. And I think we have gained a lot of experience from what happened last season against Bayern Munich. I think the players will have learned to dispel the nerves that they had against Bayern Munich last season. Well, I think we saw a chance to get into a semi-final, and we bottled it a little bit. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Iconoclast One. Thank you for being here. Hope you had a good Christmas, good holiday. Spencer, good evening, Ray. Good to see you, Spencer, in here. Thank you. Ray just highlighted my point. We can play like Liverpool, but our manager has decided not to. He insists on playing the same style as the first half of last season, which failed. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. There is I want to say an emphasis on control, and that's kind of what Arteta wants, is to have that control. We saw that in the Brentford game. After Brian and Buemo scored, I can't remember another chance that they created because we controlled that game from midfield. And look, I'm just going to say it right now, Thomas Partey was my man in the match against Brentford. Um, Him in front of Gabriel and Saliba. There was no other opportunities really that we gave up. The one other thing, which is the turning point of the game, was David Raya's save. And yes, it was a save. It spilled, went behind him, and he had to scramble back and get it off the line. But that was a turning point in the game. Obviously, could have gone 2-0 down at that point. And to score moments after that was huge. And Gabriel Jesus has come up huge in these last 4 games, right? Against Crystal Palace. I know Stan was talking about players who our team only scored one. We didn't get braces, we didn't get hat tricks in our team. Well, Gabriel Jesus turned up with a hat trick against Crystal Palace in the cup game, and that gave him a lot of confidence to go forward in the league game against Palace away from home, scoring 2 goals there. And these Gabriel Jesus goals were not goals when we were winning; they were goals when we were behind. They were goals when we were level, and against Brentford as well. Gabriel Jesus scored to equalize and get us back into the game. And I felt once we equalized, we were good enough probably to go in at the half, maybe to get a goal as well, and be 2-1 up against Brentford. So I thought we were I thought we were good value for the win against Brentford. I thought we were good value even for a lead at halftime. But our nerves were calmed down just the other side of the halftime when, you know, a set piece, Mikel Mourinho scoring. And one of the topics I wanted to talk about tonight was, with the absence of Bukayo Saka, um, we really need other players to step forward. And my notes were before this Brentford game, putting it all together in 2025. We need more from Marinelli. We need more from Trossard. And we need more from Odegaard. Um, Marinelli certainly stepped up with a goal against Brentford as well. Mikel Mourinho chipped in as well. But Gabriel Jesus has been the difference over this Christmas period in these four games. Um, is that sustainable? That is the question I want to ask all of you. Um, there's a bug going through the camp as well, hindered Kai Havertz from starting. Yes, indeed, Stan. I did say brace. I did say brace, and I said hat tricks. And you know what, Stan? What I'd say is maybe not that we want Bukayo Saka to be injured. Of course, we don't want that, but he may allow other players now to step up and score more than the single goal. Because you have to think about it. Bukayo Saka taken to the field, your likelihood of getting two goals might diminish with Bukayo Saka on the field. Um, without him, there's an opportunity for players to fill that void and step up. You know what I mean? And maybe get two goals. Maybe the likes of Martinelli can get two goals. Odegaard is a player that has immense ability, and he should be now coming to the fore, having that enforced break with the injury. Um, Iconoclast said, Misfit, you're not allowed to say the truth anymore. It's now a conspiracy against Arteta, as his the greatest manager Arsenal ever had, according to the Arsenal PR and the fan base. Yeah, listen, I just want it to happen organically. I want it to happen naturally. And I do want Arsenal under Mikel Arteta to, start putting trophies in the cabinet because we have an opportunity to close the gap in terms of trophies to the other teams above us, the traditional teams like Liverpool and Man United. We have an opportunity with these players, with the likes of Bukayo Saka, with the likes of Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel, and we've just seen what's happened in Liverpool lately. They've got three players that they have not addressed in terms of extending their contracts. Trent looks like he wants to go to Real Madrid. I do believe in the end that Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah will stay at Liverpool, but it will be at some cost to them financially, to the club financially, and their years are waning. You know, Virgil is coming to the end of his career. Mo Salah, would it be controversial to say that he might get a contract, but then not um, be the player that he was this season? Is he playing for a contract right now, Mo Salah? You know, I would have to say he's playing really well, but is the carrot of a new contract what's firing him up to play like this? So yeah, listen, um, criticism of Arteta is allowed. You know, I think his biggest mistake this season might well have been not to play Ethan Waneri when Odegaard was injured. Has he learned from that now with Bukayo Saka being injured? Very possibly, because we now see against yesterday against Brentford, Ethan Waneri getting his full Premier League debut, full start in the first team on the right hand side. Um, Look, he wasn't outstanding, but I think this team is full of match winners, and his time will come. Ethan Waneri will step forward and weigh in with his goals. Um, Again, with Arsenal, any player on any on any side of our team in any position of our team can grab the goals. So yeah, listen, want to get this success under Mikel Arteta and start winning some trophies because not only that, but we have an opportunity in these few years um, when we have Saliba at the club, we have Odegaard, we have Saka to grab trophies. Indeed, Rosie, thanks for being here. Make sure we're smashing the like button and subbing. Uh, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you all had a great Christmas holiday. Like I said before, our tactic of just to pass the ball out to Saka and he'll make something happen will now need to be revised. Yeah, and look, I was thinking about this, Stan. The situation with Bukayo Saka, he's starting to remind me of Jack Wilshere. He likes to have the ball at his feet, and that's maybe the big difference between him and Mo Salah. Salah wants to move the ball quicker. And look, you shouldn't compare both players, but a lot of people will compare the players because they're playing in a similar position and have this a similar impact to their respective teams. But I think that Jack Wilshere used to hold the ball and carry the ball at his feet. I think Bukayo Saka wants to get the ball, um, but he wants to hold on to it as well to try and make something happen. I would like to see Bukayo Saka be uh, not hold the ball as much and have some more movement and actually end up in the middle of the penalty area, just to the right side of that box to get on the end of things. He does seem to be very close to the sideline um, a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Steven said, ball control means nothing when you can't get clear cut chance to score, which we rarely get. Our players, when they get the ball, are always back to goal protecting the ball, not able to shoot. Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot of mechanisms in play, Stephen, where the ball will come into players' feet, and it's about creating triangles and trying to pinwheel around players that are marking us and get to the byline, cross the ball in, that kind of stuff. Generally, there is a lot of time where our players are with their back to goal, um, for sure. So, look, the what I wanted to see as well over the holiday period was, um, Arsenal win against Crystal Palace 5-1, but they turn in a performance which is very very tight, very edgy against Ipswich Town, and 5-1 and 1-0. You like to see Arsenal win both games comprehensively, 3-0 or 3-1, something like that. The 5-1 and the 1-0 shows a difference in our performances from game to game. And what we need to do is get um, a measure of um, performance that is more even, a measure of control which is more even, and a measure of a performance where we create more chances as well. Now, I talked about what we need from these players, Marinelli, Trossard, Odegaard, um, and looked at their previous stats in the previous seasons. Um, let's go to Trossard, for instance, in 20. And here is Tony. Tony has joined us. Hi, Tony.
Hello.
Hello, hello. You're not upside down, Tony, anymore. How was your Christmas, Tony? How was your holiday?
It was all right. It's kind of closest family's like 250 miles away. Then from that, it's all the way over into Charleston, Carolina. So not really much with my dwindling remaining paternal family, anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Listen,
I, like everybody on my mom's side's pretty much still alive, but they don't
yeah,
have anything to do with me.
yeah. Listen. The unfortunate thing for Tony, he didn't stream earlier today because he would have been talking like me for the last 30 minutes all by himself with his mouth getting dry, and trying to talking to yourself. I mean, a lot of people talk to themselves, Tony, but you know,
Yeah,
it's tough
but
to do that when you're live streaming.
I did it for a 3 hour and 40 minute watch along, a 3 hour watch along, and a 2 hour watch along. And I'm like, I'm not doing a review or wind, wind up show, even though I got like 4 hours into searching for the photos and making the slideshows and
Yeah,
everything else. Somebody.
yeah,
So,
um,
so I have a ready to go show. I just need participants.
yeah. You need somebody to bounce off of as well to talk to. I mean, here's me talking for 30 minutes. I'm so glad you did drop in as well, Tony. But it's not easy talking to yourself. Or the other thing as well, thank you to people in the chat box as well for making, creating the conversation here. That's what it's all about. Steven said, I'm all for creating triangles to move the ball around. It works great in our left, but it doesn't happen on the right because there was never anyone for Martinelli to pass to. Yeah, but I think we create those triangles more on the right hand side, Stephen, through Odegaard, through Timber, through Saka, through one area right now. So
Or,
I think
or,
very often I think our build-up play, Tony, is a lot better down the right hand side than the left.
one thing I really paid attention to during the game was Martinelli. I watched his spacing. He was never closer than 10 yards to an opponent when they had the ball.
Yeah,
Like zero. It's not even.
too far off.
It's no pressure at all. It's
Like
not
no
trying to.
press. Yeah, yeah, no
It's like
press.
absolutely no press.
Hey, listen, if
He,
if I was to ask you who is our best, who's our best players at pressing, you wouldn't have Martinelli in the top five. That's for sure.
and it's weird because like when we were at the 4-4-2, he was even more lost, and he should be good in that type of system, being a
Yeah.
more of a weak right or left-sided midfielder. But
Steven says, sorry, I got the left side and the right side backwards. Too much New Year's cheers. He loves his gin. Yeah, you got to have some gin now and again. You got to have a tipple. You got to have a little bit of a tipple around this time of the year. Stan said, if we do bring someone in, it won't be a big, ready to go player. It'll be a player who needs rescuing or an unknown prospect, neither of which will get us over the line this season. Or it could be a player like Brian Mbeumo, who I was mentioning around about July or August of last year. And hey, we're linked to uh, what's the guy from Newcastle? Isak. We're linked to Isak. He scores against us. We're linked to Mbeumo. He scores against us. These players want those moves, Tony.
I just don't have Gabrielle talking about people we're trying to sign.
I kind
That
of
was pretty funny, especially that
yes,
he did it a week after too.
yes.
Such a
Now
shit fart.
I don't know if you heard me said. I think with Bukayo Saka being out, we do need the players to step up. Gabriel Jesus has done it. Martinelli scored a goal, so they're chipping in. Um, but yeah, we do need the likes of Odegaard and Trossard now to step forward as well. Havertz
But
to get started again.
I still it blows my mind because they asked Jesus what should change about his game, and he said somebody told him to stay humble, but he didn't act like that was anytime recently. It's those have been poaching goals. He's still not a striker. We still need a striker.
They were not all poaching goals. There was one game, the goal against Crystal Palace, where, and anyway,
Well,
we need
the,
poachers anyway.
the mighty Crystal Palace, right?
The mighty Crystal Palace, yeah, at Selhurst Park maybe, but this one was at the Emirates. A through ball from Odegaard, and you see that he settles on the ball. He settles and he knows what he wants to do, and he blasts it into the corner. A couple of other ones that Jesus, because he has scored 6 goals now. You know, the poaching goal was very important against Brentford for the equaliser. A great shot from Thomas Partey, who's my man in the match. He's my Tony Don Juan. You know,
Yeah, it's weird how people are like, oh, he doesn't get any credit at all. It's like people have always given him credit. It's just they're very limited of what we pay for him that we've actually got out of him.
yeah,
And to me, it's like, why is he suddenly playing well? Why is Jesus suddenly playing well when they haven't been that good, especially in the case of Jesus? He basically went a calendar year without scoring, and
yeah. I think the
there's
interviewer, Joe, I forget what her name is. She said something like it's been 40 games since you last scored a goal for Arsenal. That's crazy. I kind of last said Arteta's biggest mistake was not buying the right players in the summer. In my opinion, Arsenal have undermanned, talented squad who hasn't the ability to blend, has not the ability to blend the correct experience to the
uh,
talent. I think
uh,
I think we're getting there. I think it's slowly coming together. We have the likes of Miles Lewis Skelly and the likes of Ethan Waneri. You know, we
yeah,
talked about, but we talked about the window, Tony, being insufficient, but the window always had these two academy players in mind.
but whenever he got his first Premier League start, right? Come on,
He just got it. Yeah,
it should have happened when Odegaard was away, but we wait until now when Saka's finally injured, which will happen more and more because of the amount of minutes from Arteta's refusal to
you see,
rest these players.
yeah, yeah. And that's
Because if you have a Waneri, you have a Saka, or if you're doesn't really matter if you're playing Martinelli or Cassard, but at 60 minutes, those guys are coming off, and you're getting a burst of energy for 30 minutes, which helps you win. Instead, Arteta generally doesn't like to do any subs before like 75 minutes.
yeah, yeah. Listen, and we're gonna go talk. We're gonna talk about this month coming up, Tony. We just played one of 9 games that we're
But
going to be playing in January on
but
New Year's Day.
what gets me right is like we didn't have a good first half. You start off, you have 10 good minutes of the second half. Then the rest of it, you do jack shit.
But again, I'm going to use the word control, and I know Steven's not going to love this, but because that's kind of the way Arteta has set his team up to control the game, to minimize the opposition from hurting you, and take the chances that come along, which is what we've been doing. You know, and this
Yeah,
again,
brother.
we've won 3 games in a row, Tony. But that's all we've ever done this season in the league is won 3 games in a row. We need to extend that to more than three.
And you see them in the first half. They didn't get the ball much, but when they got it, they were punishing us with it. Quick up the pitch.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to say as well, Brian Mbeumo is a good player, and he's got a partner up there in Jan Wisa. Both of those players so far this season have scored 19 goals between them. But we never heard really. He never really threatened too much. And Mbeumo got his goal after 12 minutes. So again, that's testament to Urian Timber on that side as well, who's been playing right back. And we've not really missed Ben White in that situation, other than, the minutes that we need him to play, you know?
I think with I don't think he ever recovered from the injury he got near the end of last year. Then Arteta finally did a smart thing that I kept calling for. Is like if you got a hurt fullback, what do? You go with a back three,
Yeah.
and it works because you're not putting
Where
all
are
that
you,
running up
Alonso?
and down.
Where are you, Alonso, right now? Because he just did say back three, So usually you say back three times, Alonso will appear like Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
I,
um,
I, I keep on needing to watch that second movie. I keep seeing it on Max, and I haven't
wanted to
played
watch
yet.
what? 15.
Beetlejuice,
There's
Beetlejuice.
a good few of you in there right now watching us tonight. So thank you for being here. First of all, Happy New Year. Second of all, and third of all, your admission fee is just a thumbs up, right? So just hit that thumbs up, and Tony will sing you a little ditty about New Year's in some way, shape, or form. Uh,
That will make them not give us any interaction.
Stan,
We got Stan there, and Stan always says thumb down is as good as a thumb up because it
yeah, it's up,
counts.
up's better than down, right? The return of teabag, says Stan. I'm watching the chat here, but also Stan says Arteta moans about having a small squad, but that was of his own doing. He sanctioned the loans and sales. Yeah, I'm wondering, Stan, if he's moaning about a small squad, if that's a little like a little tap on the shoulder for Stan
But but
and Josh Kroenke to get the
but but
checkbook out.
he's done this in the past. He's like, oh, what's squad's too big. Let's thin it down. Then he thins it down, and it's like, oh, it's too thin. He, he,
It's like the
he,
porridge. The porridge is
yeah,
too hot. The porridge is too cold. We need to get it to be just right for Goldilocks. You know what I mean? Um,
the trace bears.
I kind of last one said Stan, the way Arsenal are doing their business and rotating the squad is now becoming a serious issue. Um, Stan goes on to say, should we just cut ties with Sterling now and send them back to Chelsea? I mean, it was a thing of convenience. Bukayo Saka was
Did
never going to
did,
lose, other than injury, Bukayo Saka was
do
never going to lose too many minutes.
do we
Happy
have
New,
that option though?
Happy New Year, Rich. No, we probably don't have that option, you know? So,
Because it's almost always people say that, but
yeah.
pretty much up and down the board, it's those loans are for
There is what really can be done, and
11
then there
months.
is what the fans want to do. You know what I mean? So
I,
you always have
I
to ask
mean, if
yourself.
you're in a true injury crisis, you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think Arteta tried to do it when we had those injured players and COVID players.
BX
I
said, can we
believe
send Sterling back and get Madueke on loan? Ifs and buts, right? Arsenal not willing to pay more than 25 million for Rashford. Why are we even having that conversation? Yeah, look, I don't think we should push the boat out for a player like Rashford. I think there's better players out there, but you don't want to spend too much if you are interested in a player of Marcus Rashford.
and
Don't
I see
spend,
it.
don't overspend.
I remember seeing that Tuesday links to a certain ex-Liverpool Byron player that's on like 500 bags a year,
Oh,
which they broke there. You know who it is.
oh, right. Isak would be a bust at Arsenal because of the slow way we play. He's at his best on the fly. Like most of our forwards, it would be a waste of money and talent. We change styles that different. I think there is a lot to what you're saying there, Stephen. I don't know
But
if he would prosper in our system and the way we play. The rumor is returning Sterling and bring back Vieira from loan after selling Neil Smith Rowe. Words fail me. I've heard that Fabio Vieira is not coming back. The return of Teabag. So I've heard that he's not coming back, but I could be wrong.
uh,
Stan,
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
what we haven't been not good midfield. I don't think. I don't think Mourinho gives us much, but Teabag, who's he to put to the bench?
Well,
He's not.
Arsenal fans were complaining about Mikel Marino on New Year's Day, and turned out he had a pretty tidy game, and
I,
he does
I,
a lot of the stuff that doesn't get seen too much, Tony.
I thought he was poor in the first half.
Yeah, you see, but if you look at it, he's there backing up the play and keeping Brentford penned in their own half. I thought him and Partey were pretty good at um, providing the net that Brentford couldn't break out of. We really put a stranglehold of them. Arsene Wenger used to do it a lot as well, where you'd set up about 40 yards away from their goal, and it'd be like a embargo. What is that thing at sea where you set up your boat so the opposition can't get through? What's that called?
Naval blockade.
A blockade. Yeah. Arsenal set up a blockade 35, 40 yards from Flecken's goal and did not allow anything to get past. And Buemo and Wisa were defending on the edge of their own box. And,
Uh,
for one of the goals, I think that the Gabriel Jesus goal, they could have cleared a couple of times, but for Arsenal pressure, stopping it from happening.
I still don't know how that ball didn't just bounce into the back of the net when Rhea made his mistake.
Well, was it a mistake or was it a good save? You know,
It went straight through his hands, right?
it didn't go straight through his hands. He did get a block on it. Now the ball went up and over his head then, or to the side. But the Premier League balls swerve a lot. So you have to think about it. That was a good save. Let me know in the chat. I'd be interested to know what people in the chat say
It
about
kind of
that
depends on
David Raya save.
it depends on the year. We always used to hear, "Oh, this ball's got a lot of curve to it. This ball sticks to the ground
Yeah,
more, or this or that."
yeah. I'm gonna go and say it was a good save, and I actually will go further and say um, David with Bukayo Saka being out injured, David Raya is probably coming to the fore as being one of our players of the season. And that's a hot take right there now.
I don't think it's a hot take. He's been consistent.
I think I
That's
think I think if you were to do a compilation of the saves David Raya has done in this first half of the season, there would be quite a few saves where you'd say, yeah, that was crucial. You know what I mean?
Can we just go back to just launching the ball or even doing the short little throws when you pick
He
up a
did
ball?
he did some of that with Martinelli. he tried to throw the ball out to Martinelli. Remember, a long throw out to Martinelli, almost got on the end of it. A long clearance down the left side. Martinelli did get onto it. So there has been a couple of situations where David Raya has tried to make that assist for Martinelli. And I know when he was playing with Brentford, he used to do the same thing with Ivan Toney, use him as a target man almost. Okay, Steven
But,
said,
but why don't we do that more, Ray? Because it's a not that hard of a thing to
yeah,
do. It's
yeah,
to me, I don't know what you gain from building up from a back, especially us as slow as we go.
hey,
If Ray
everybody's
was
doing it.
if Ray was taking a ball like
Does sound like a
Martinez,
movie. Does that sound like
Mar,
a movie seagull
but
sequel?
Martinez would do it because he would get the ball and he would kick it out quickly and we'd be on the counter. Now we just
Yeah.
stall out in the middle.
Steven
Yeah.
says, Stan, I agree. Rashford is another Willian and Sterling, which we don't need. Wouldn't take him on a free except to sell him. So interesting takes there on Rashford. You can't even make some of these things up. We're caught with our pants down more than the Sunday pastor at a whorehouse. We leave ourselves short time and time again. Yeah, this is definitely something we need to do in January here. Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. Who's your favorite? Haha. I will go with. It's very hard to pick favorites when you love all of the kids. You know what I mean? But I will go with. I'm going to go with Saliba because I know Tony's going to go with Gabrielle. Right?
Well, you should have made it a clean sweep of both of us picking Gabriel.
Both of us picking Gabrielle. Indeed, he's kind of the heartbeat, and he was one of those players who was shouting at other players yesterday when we were, if we didn't have that control, if we were letting Brentford back into the game, he was kind of shouting at
And,
other teams.
and Monday we got into this stuff because Gary kept saying, "Oh, I take Saliba," but I like what Gabriel gives you because you look at him on the set pieces.
The
He's
heartbeat.
he's communicating when they're back there on defense, setting up. He's communicating.
Yeah, he's a
I mean,
bit of a Tony
he,
Adams. Dare I say it?
he, he's another one that you see do the 60-yard passes on a needle. I mean, you don't see that from Saliba.
As Stan
To,
says, we take in more waifs and strays than the RSPCA. Rich is here from Manchester United. We'll be facing Man United later this month, about 10 days from now in the FA Cup. And look, you're the holders of the FA Cup, but we want our cup back, Rich. We want our cup back. It's our cup. The manager thinks he's Cesar Milan working with unstable dogs. The amount of grief Super Mickey gets from our own fans is horrible. Right, I'm fine with playing that slow style if that is what the team was built for. Our back line and midfield were bought to move the ball quickly to us fast forward the speed, not walking up the pitch. Well, I don't know if they were bought to move the ball quickly because they never really. Declan Rice is a player who carries the ball. Odegaard might be a player who can move the ball quicker, but he tends to carry the ball a little bit as well. Um, so
it, it doesn't matter when he's on defense.
what is annoying?
60%, 60% of the time, you don't see him out in the middle
Well,
where he should
I
be
mean, to
creating.
to what Steven is saying, uh, we don't seem to when we get the ball, we win the ball back, Tony, but we don't seem to strike fast enough like a snake. You know what I mean? We don't recoil and strike on a transition. We get the ball back and we maintain. control and possession.
And you've seen that happen to us on the weekend, where we do that. We have no. To me, it all boils down to Arteta because he just wants this precision machine, that just this method of just, oh, you go for this guy here, you go for this guy, and that makes also it makes opponents pick us apart. It,
Yeah.
it takes away their creativity.
Yeah. So we're going in at halftime 1-1, and then we come out in the second half, and set pieces once again. It's actually kind of funny because I think we said gives away a corner kick. The first corner kick is cleared by Wisa, but um, the Brentford players congratulate him, sure, for defending, but you conceded another corner to Arsenal, and we would make them pay eventually with Mikel Mourinho taking up
Well,
the slops in the
well,
6 yard area.
when you're playing Arsenal or anyone, you just kind of like fold your body in that corner so you make sure the ball doesn't go out on you.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. I Iconoclast said the last player he brought back was Nketiah. He was put up front, and Martinelli put on the wing. Zini and Vieira on the left hand didn't work before. I hope this doesn't happen again. I don't think we're going back to those kind of formations. When Mikel joined the club, he could choose from 4 strikers. Now he has 2. That's just BS.
But
But
who do
yeah,
we really have? Do we really have two strikers?
we're talking about Jesus and Havertz.
Jesus
Some
is
say
a
Havertz is not a striker.
Jesus is a winger, and to me, Kai is just
Say
forward.
like BX Gunner said, I'd argue he just has one striker. Jesus maybe would be the striker, right? I don't know. Who is the striker? Can the real strikers please stand up? Stephen said Partey hasn't gotten the credit he deserved against Brentford. My man in the match as well. I think this season we we all written off Thomas Partey as for the junkyard. We'd all written him off as a player who wouldn't figure for our midfield. We bought Mikel Marino. We had Declan Rice. We had Odegaard. And many, many, many people probably thought that was going to be the midfield. Yeah, I think a lot of us hoped it would be Partey and Rice and Odegaard in our strongest midfield, but we couldn't have in our wildest dreams, right? We couldn't have imagined Thomas Partey playing significant games and significant minutes for us this. Here he is. He's not only is he playing probably more than 24 or approaching 24 games right now, but he's playing them at a high level, Tony. Partey.
And let alone all the games that he's played as
Huh?
right back. I said that, and let alone being
Well,
there at right back, because
I
you
think
were mentioning his play.
we have to accept on Saturday against Brighton that he will play right back because I don't think there's a trust after Timber and after White. I don't think Mikel Arteta trusts anything. Well, Tomiyasu, if he was fit, but that's another situation that Stan is probably going to chime in on. Tomiyasu is never fit. One of these players we need to consign to the bag, to the transfer list for us. Move him on. Listen, another Abu Diaby. Unfortunately, great when he plays well, but doesn't play enough. Tony
We also have the lost Scotsman.
Tierney,
He's yeah, he might be training with his killed on, his balls hanging out, cold as hell, but
his
he's
Tesco
just
bag. um, he did play against Crystal Palace. in that cup game. Strange that Mikhail hasn't gotten back to him or Zinchenko as well. So, Arsenal doing really well, even if during the course of this podcast we're identifying 4 or 5 players who we could move on, maybe even more, right? These are the standards and the levels that we have risen to in the last 5 or 6, 7 years. We know where we were 6, 7 years ago. We were where Manchester United are right now. We were that team where the fans were divided upon and the fans booing certain players. Um, and it's not a good place to be. But let Manchester United be in the doldrums. I'm happy. I'm happy if Ruben Amorim looks lost on the sideline. But I do want him to. I do want Man United to get a result at Anfield on Sunday as well. Only after Arsenal beat Brighton, and we owe Herzeller. We owe that Brighton manager defeat, considering what they did to us at the Emirates with that draw.
Yeah, it's you want to do that, but you just gotta keep on. At this point, you gotta knock out another 4 or 5 wins. You don't want to just stop at the three.
Yeah, indeed, agreed.
Well,
Uh,
we definitely don't need any more D's.
we don't need any what?
Any more D's. We're tired of draws.
Yeah, we've drawn too many games, too many games. Actually, you don't like talking about losses, but I get where Gary's where he talks about it's more valuable to win games now. He'd rather almost lose one and win two. You know what I mean? Than you know draws. Draws aren't going to get you far. Wins are going to get you far. Um,
But to me they are losses because you only give a 1 point.
yeah. Wow.
It's not that much of a difference in the
I know.
table.
Losses are damaging though, especially in the second half of the season now. We've lost two. Liverpool have lost one. We've only lost 2 games. It's the draws that do hurt and do stack up. The thing about draws is, you drop 2 points, as you say. Steven said, I agree, Raya has been good this season, but there have been some mistakes creeping back into his game, especially in his positioning, which is really bad on the Brentford goal. Listen, I don't blame Raya for the Brentford goal. He cut it inside Calafiori. Calafiori, too many times our defenders allow players to come inside and open the goal up by coming inside, and you can see more of the goal. Show them down your outside. Let them get to the byline. What can they do from the byline? Are they going to
Eh,
score from
eh,
there?
eh, eh. What's his position, right? What's he
Left back,
supposed to be?
left back, wing back. I don't know.
He, he's a step back, is what he is.
He's an
Yeah,
out half.
I,
He plays.
I, I, I don't think he's much of an improvement upon Zinchenko if he even is.
He is a big improvement on Zinchenko, but still fallible to you know. I'd rather say Brian and Mbemba showed his quality there. You know, I'd rather say Mbemba left a calling card for Arsenal. Come and get me. And aside from the vanity of having another player that I wanted come to Arsenal, and me being right about him, you know, he has scored a
I,
lot of goals this season, 10 or 11 goals this season.
I just want a giant hook when I see Calafiori get into the final
You want to hook
24
his
to,
locks. You want to hook his locks back
24.
to his substitute bench.
Yeah,
Mega
I'm good
legs,
tempo.
mega legs gets you goals. A rare commodity for a centre back. That's very true. Very true. Um, he, I really wanted him to score against Ipswich as well. I had a little bet for Arsenal winning both halves in the Ipswich game, and we were lead we were leading 1-0 out through Havertz. So I needed Gabriel Magalhaes to score definitely in the second half.
Score all the time, eh?
Saliba is the Rolls Royce and Gabriel is the hammer or the Hummer, and together they are magic indeed. Ray, Saliba, White, Partey, Odegaard, many and to some extent.
Ray,
Mikel,
you're out there playing, Ray.
Mikel,
Uh,
yeah, Mikel
good.
doesn't want any Mavericks in the team, but that's what we're missing. And Alexi Sanchez, as Stan says, think about Alexi Sanchez. I think at the top end of the field, that's where I think Martinelli could be that player. I'm really amazed that Martinelli hasn't put it all together yet. You know, he's got Martinelli could have all the skills to dribble past the player. He could beat two players and curl one into the top corner on a more regular basis. You know,
But you see the difference. You see Trossard in there. He gets the assist. He does the long passing and such. And to me, it's a lot more important to be able to read the game, read the runs, know where the ball needs to go to, instead of just running around like a chicken with its head cut off and just the very little in the end product there.
yeah, we've had this numerous conversations about Martinelli and Trossard and the pros and cons, and the best player we could get would be to get the best qualities from each player. Could you imagine a player with the skill level of and speed of Martinelli, but the actual technical wizardry, the technical nous of Trossard? You know what I mean?
They're not comic book superheroes, right? You can't combine
Comic
football
book
players.
superheroes. Uh, that would be a hell of a player, though. If we had that in Trossanelli. We'll just call him Trossanelli. That's even a much better name than either Trossard or Martinelli. You know what I mean?
But Ray,
Trossanelli, the Italian phenomenon from Brazil.
don't you miss the days when we actually had four strikers?
You're
Like
just
I
you're just
well,
you're just baiting the hook for a stand now. That's what you're doing.
yeah, but you sit there, Ray. But to me, I don't think you can say we actually have a striker. Can can you 100% say that Kai is a striker? Right?
Okay, what are the qualities of a striker?
The key point there, right? Striking, the ability to create goals out
Yeah,
of
he
nothing.
has struck some really good goals against Southampton, against Leicester. Uh, he scored against Brighton. You know, so I think the technical quality of some of his goals will be very high, and you know he gets on the end of things that him and Trossard seem to understand each other pretty well. You know because of that you referenced that Champions League game recently against PSG, right? Where Trossard puts the ball onto the head of Kai Havertz.
He almost missed it because he was so surprised. It was like a
Yeah,
laser beam. Then he does that with
yeah,
a
and
cross
then we see
crosser
Trossard.
lob. He does it.
We see it again where Trossard is being determined to get to the byline against Ipswich Town, and he puts the center in for Havertz as well. So you know you do get certain situations where these players combine well together, and maybe Gabriel Jesus and Marinelli play well together as well. You know what I mean? So
You,
you're
you,
getting combinations here. So if you have Jesus up top, maybe Martinelli's the player to start. If you have Kai Havertz, maybe Trossard is the player to play with. You know
You,
what I mean?
you, we on here frequently reference that. I can't remember what it was. Go there.
Huh?
I can't remember where I was going there.
Where you would go? What?
Where my point was taking me.
Yeah. No, listen. I think we're just we're reminiscing about this holiday period, about Christmas. Yeah,
Oh,
Arsenal maybe
I,
having
I
the
remember what I
opportunity
was going to say,
to
Ray.
whatever happens with Liverpool, we can't allow the gap to grow beyond 9 points maximum with all games being played equally. You know,
I,
uh,
I was going to say it's frequently mentioned on here, the assist before the assist, but with Trossard, it's almost a goal before the goal because it's like he's getting that ball where he knows it's a go to a back of a net or
mhm.
at least threaten the goalpost.
And I think Trossard is a very clever constructor of moves as well. So, like you said, he might not be the guy that's giving the assist. He might not be the guy who's scoring the goal, but he is the guy who's setting the player up who's going to give the assist. If you know what I mean. I kind of last said the more money spent, the bigger the problems. The smaller the squad gets, the more injuries Arsenal develop,
It,
and the more games to play. I will add as well into that one with all of the games that we have to play, and we'll go through. As I threatened all of you, we will go through January very soon and what we have to do. Ray, Saliba, White, Partey, Zini, Odegaard, and to some extent Gabriel are all good and moving the ball forward quickly, and we're all bought before this new style. Well, these are mostly defenders and midfielders, you know. I'm not talking about forwards here. Um, I agree with you about Partey. As much as I love him, I wrote him off after last season. Boy, was I wrong. I'm really happy about that. You know, to a lesser extent, where would Liverpool be without Salah right now? But you could also say, where would Arsenal be without Thomas Partey? He hasn't had as much effect on us as Salah has for Liverpool, but you can't underestimate the effect that he's had for us this season as well. He's been one of the players that has carried us into second place so far, albeit six points and a game extra played off of Liverpool. We should be looking at players like Ferran Torres and John Duran, players that would come in and actually move the needle. Or Mbuemo would be another one as well. I've got a few players. Kudos is a good player as well for West Ham, and we could go
can I
after.
just make a clone of Giroud?
Attention,
Just make a clone of Giroud and bring him back.
who?
Oliver Giroud. He would have like
Oh, bring him back
fif-
if it was possible.
he would have like 15 headers a season.
Stan, we did, but we sold him to keep that fraud, Eddie and Kedia. Um, let's not do that. Arsenal were never at Man United. Bad in the Premiership. Uh, fair, fair. I think there was a point where we briefly talked about relegation before Emil Smith Rowe came into the team. There was a point in Mikel Arteta's second season or first full season where it didn't look so great after 14 games. You know what I mean? That
Then
was
it was. It's also been put out there that he was actually considering quitting.
hmm If we bring in players who can't move the needle, then don't bother. I think you're right, Stan. If we can bring in, as Arsene Wenger said, super quality. You have players who could get you 10 goals in half a season. We need a player in January who could get you 7 or 8 goals. We don't need a player that's going to win every game for us because we have players who will win games for us. But we do need a player who's going to score a vital goal here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Tony, when you don't play to win, you get more draws. Tony loves draws. Do not mention draws to Tony because he'll tell you about the record Premier League draws.
That we almost broke it. The
Almost.
difference was
It was 17 or something, wasn't it? We got 14.
the difference was that was a instead of 18 clubs,
Yeah, listen, that
you
was a
had 20
season.
clubs.
That
You
was
had
a season.
24 clubs.
I think we drew 14. We drew 14 games and we won 14 games, and we lost 10, something like that. Um, and that was good enough for 56 points, I believe, something like that. We'll soon see if the owners wanted to spend just enough to get us back in Champions League, or they want us to win the whole thing. Yeah, Stan. I mean, we'd love for our owners to feel like arm this Arsenal team with the players who can go and win a league, who can go and win a Champions League, and we want to be in these conversations where we're talking about a semi-final of the Champions League. I think we can get there, Tony. Pretty soon we'll be talking about a semi-final in Champions League with an opportunity to get a little bit of luck and go to a final. Get a little bit more luck and win a final. You know what I mean? Some people don't feel Arsenal can do that, but I got to believe that that can happen with the players that we have right now. Add a few more pieces, as Stan said. Was so yeah, we'll see if the ownership is behind Mikel Arteta is behind Arsenal because we need it. We need it just this January. We need it this month. And there is some rumors about some players that we're talking to.
I mean, you have to spend it because if you don't spend it, even if you go out and do a 70 million signing, you're gonna make that back in the Champions League. So if
Yeah.
you miss out on the Champions League, then you'd have constrained salaries with
Uh,
us still needing a pretty good overhaul of the midfield,
uh,
or at least the way the midfield is structured.
Stan said it'll be embarrassing if Arnie Slop wins the Premier League on his first go without spending any dough at all. Look, as I said at the outset in the beginning of the podcast, I think it's just been a strange season. When you look at Liverpool and you look at Arsenal, for the first half of the season, majority of Liverpool's games against the big teams have been at home. The majority of Arsenal's games against the big teams have been away. I'm expecting that to flip right around in the
Right.
second half of the season, Tony, and Arsenal will reclaim some of those 9 points
Well,
behind Liverpool.
we've actually had a song instead of Angel. The last 2.5 weeks, we've
The
had
Angel,
Linden.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we've had Linden Pauline since we've been everywhere in London.
Yeah, we have been up and down London and all over the place, and that's maybe why we've won 3 games, drew 2, and won another 3 games. So we won six out of
12 out of 13 in
yeah.
London. Then
Um,
the short little trip down the beach to Brighton.
Arsenal are set up not to lose instead of being set up to win. We've talked about this for years. Not I mean, we talked about it specifically with Sinchenko, but maybe we could open that up out to the whole team, Tony. Be pragmatic or be progressive. We tried to be progressive 2 seasons ago. We lost it by five or 7 points, something like that, in the end. Um, we tried to be a little bit more pragmatic last season. We got closer by 2 points against Man City. I do think we can take this Liverpool team at the end of the day as well. All right, I'm pretty sure that painting on Tony's wall went missing from the Louvre back in the 90s. And you know anything about that, Tony?
Which painting?
The one there was right there on the wall. No, the other side. Yeah, there. That one.
That one looks like a Marlboro man.
Thomas Crown style. Tony knows the guy.
I could get it to zoom up there.
There you go. Yeah, it looks like a bird.
Horses, it's the Marlboro man looking thing.
Marlboro Man. Picture now, the picture, not the
I,
wall.
and I can't control where this fucking thing zooms
There
out.
you go. That's better. Of course you can control it. You're holding it. Why can't you control it? Um,
But because I do the wide angle camera that
as a former hockey
enables it to
goalie,
follow me around.
yeah, as a former hockey goalie, positioning is 80% of the battle. Raya was way too far to his right. It's his job to be the best position to stop the shot, and he was nowhere near it. He's been lucky lately. I think in Raya's defense, he's got to cover a left-footed curled shot to the back corner, to the far corner. Um,
I think you're giving.
Calafiori's got to cut off that near post angle. For me, it's the defender defending poorly. For me,
But that's always the case there, right?
yeah,
The left backs have not been good. That's why I think Gabrielle is so much better because you got Saliba, you have Ben White, you got Thomas Partey, you got Timber. Who the fuck does Gabrielle have?
yeah.
He's had a very revolving door.
He does have to. Kai gives me Canu vibes. Never gonna score a ton, but we'll bag a few, says BX Gunner. Stan, too funny. Hey Tony, what's going on?
Yeah, well,
Uh, while while Jesus is scoring goals, he should be getting a nod, but have the balls to bench Kai in case Jesus breaks down or loses form. Playing both is too risky. Well, Kai Havertz did have a touch of the flu or something going around the camp. Here we go. Gotta go, guys. Have an early start tomorrow for work. Great show. Stephen, thank you for being here to start everything off. You were the first one in, and appreciate that. Have a good have a good day tomorrow, Stephen. And thank you for your comments. Even if my voice is feeling a little bit shaky now after the first 30 minutes.
uh, uh,
My opening monologue was a
uh,
full 30 minutes, Tony.
are you one of those people that's fighting off this thing that's kind of like it kind of mimics COVID? It's kind of part cold, part flu. You really don't know what it is. Is that going around there, Rick?
Uh, I don't know. I think I'm one of those people that would describe it as a tickle. Do you know what I mean? A Tommy tickle.
Probably tickle.
It's not. It's
That's
not real. It's not really anything, but like
of,
maybe scratchy, right?
of,
Uh,
of all the things Stan said and does, I still probably get my biggest grin out of that out of the hair of a Tommy tickle.
yeah. Stan is you got to give him props. He's pretty good with the nicknames. You know what I mean? He would have crucified me on the playground probably when we were kids. You know what I mean? Alex Ferguson always knew when it was time. He always knew it was time to sell a player. He'd probably steal my lunch as well on the playground. We should be the same with Partey. It could fall apart any minute. Cash in while we can instead of being lazy and comfortable. Yeah, but the thing is, then we've probably identified 5 or 6 players that could go before him. So I think at a football club, you're never truly happy with what you have. You're always evolving, and you always want to move some players on. You know, but
uh,
Ferguson was good at it at a time maybe where it was easier to get good players.
but one that doesn't make sense to me, and like our title talks about numbers and stuff. It's like you have Jorginho that goes out there and does good jobs. Why hasn't he been playing?
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably already played like 3 or 4 games, if that many.
yeah. Okay, this is a very, very good question. Um, I'd love Stan to be able to talk about this as well. Uh, I'll let you go first, Tony.
I also like how Stan always does the cue out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect for me. I see a big Q, and it means question, right? Q means question.
Yeah, I think it's been mediocre. We had the chances to go by Spurs twice, came up short and got fifth. We could have did some winter signings. We could have got my buddy back there. Ray knows who it is. Certain
Yeah.
Newcastle player.
Yeah.
Stan has another clever name for
Gummy
him.
bears. Gummy
Gummy,
bears.
Bruno Gummy Bears. But but but
Oh,
but that's to me that's the most damning thing that Adu and Arteta did because they never the entire season gave us what their target was until after the end of the season, and it was to be sixth place. So when
B6.
you have a when you have a chance of getting in fourth place, don't you go out and do it? But they came up with this excuse that it could upset the project. So can Calafiori and Mourinho and some of his other defensive signings just
So
to
what?
to
Who would
to,
have
to
upset the project?
they didn't say. They said if they just went out and got someone, they were afraid that it would upset the project. And
Yeah.
I'm saying so. Some of these signings we've done last 2 summers, you just, I mean, even Havertz, nearly 70 million. I mean, you could have got us 2 really good average players, or you could have went out there and got us,
There were 2 really good average players.
or you could have went out there and got us a whole quality striker out of that money. But
or you could get a forward who scored you like 15 goals last season, something like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Listen,
yeah,
Mikel has been in
but
charge for
what
5 years. How do you think it's gone so far?
but
Okay, so
but to me that's damning of last year because you had him. He just kept playing him and playing him and playing him and playing him in the midfield, and it wasn't until Jesus went to get crucified for a few months that Kai
He's
actually came in there.
he's been reawakened this
He
Christmas. He's been
he
risen.
yeah. It's always these,
Last year he was crucified. This year he's risen.
but it's just like
You blasphemer.
there's so many just you you have a Smith Rowe thing. You have Richard. You have Lacazette when he got 17 goals, led the team in scoring, which made me win one of my 3 season-long predictions for Arsenal.
You do
Give
like
me
your
credit.
victories, don't you? You do like a good victory.
Yeah, because you like to fuck them, take them away, so I gotta
I I'm
stack
like
and
that
save
teacher.
them up.
I'm like that teacher that has to take the star away from you that you earned during the week. On Friday, I was just like, before you bring it home to your parents, rip it out of your cold hands.
It's like I got an A+, then the teacher gets his giant fucking stamp with an F on it, and just
Yeah, I that would be me. I think I would do that. Um, listen, I think Mikal took a team, Emery's team, and put them in a position where they could win an FA Cup after 6 months being in charge. I think there was a lot of work that needed to go into the squad. He made some
yeah,
big
but
decisions. With
what
Aubameyang, he made some big decisions when it comes to Aubameyang. He made some big decisions when it comes to Odegaard, dropping Aubameyang for being late to the North London derby. These were big decisions from a
but
manager.
but but that wasn't the only time he was late, though. That's where the problem lies. Is that was a frequent thing with
This is a
him.
good one.
Uh,
From Red John, it's not a coincidence that Arteta bought a player with the name Mikel. Arteta was saying to the fans, if you want Mikel out, so be it. So be it. Then Mikel will be sold. I like
I
that.
always
Uh,
hear Red John.
Lolo, Brooklyn's
I,
finest, on
I,
the stoop. Go check out Lolo on the stoop. Give him a
I
subscription.
think he needs to be pulling out like Excalibur, running
Yeah.
around with.
Ray, are you expecting Arsenal to beat Spurs, City, United, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, and Liverpool? Liverpool, interesting theory. Well, Liverpool, we'll leave that one to last, right? That's Anfield toward the end of the season. What happens in those other games will determine if we can go to Anfield with a chance to win the title by doing something at Anfield. And let's if you look at the fixtures, I will tell you based around that Anfield game, Liverpool have a couple of tricky games. They've got to go to Stamford Bridge at Chelsea. Chelsea will be looking to get top four this season. So listen,
I,
we are only going to be able to put ourselves in position to go to Anfield and contest the league title if we beat Spurs this month at Emirates, if we beat Aston Villa at the Emirates next month, if we beat City, the poorest City team that I can remember. Well, I can remember probably better teams than that or poorer teams than that, but they're pretty damn poor. City are right now. United,
I,
United at Old Trafford. These are the games. These are the games, Tony.
is City worse now than when they went and got all of Arsenal players?
Yes, probably the way they're playing with such low confidence. Um, Foden, I think he's got one goal this season. He just scored recently against Aston Villa, so definitely
Well,
it's a tough one.
you could have said that about us a week ago, and Jesus hadn't
um,
scored
I,
scored in a
a
year,
lot.
right?
One thing we got to say as well, and Lolo says he's expecting us to win every match for the rest of the season. every Arsenal player expects us to win every match for the rest of the season. So, but this month coming up, and we're going to talk about that very shortly. I know I've been teasing it the whole way. We all know the games that we have to play, but there's going to be some opportunities to play big teams at the Emirates. Um, with an opportunity to get back into this Premier League because the big teams we're playing at the Emirates, Liverpool are playing the big teams away from home this second half of the season, and this is just the way the computer spat out the fixtures. But we had a tough time to get 39 points this for halfway. We had a tough time to get 39. We're going to need to get something like 46,
Come on,
40.
Ray.
We're
Come
going
on,
to need to get
Ray.
48 or 49 points in the second
We,
half of the season.
we've had Lyndon Calling the last 2.5 weeks. Just
We've had what?
Lyndon Calling,
London calling. Yeah, I wish they
class
were
sound.
just I want you are just handing out 3 easy points each and every week. But the Premier League is a fallow is a a wicked person. The Premier League is wicked. It can do
Yeah.
it to us. Oh look, it's Ramirez. Okay, some
If we get more, if we get
inside
more thumbs,
joking going on. Yeah,
if we get more thumbs up, then I can go try to sing Lyndon Calling.
yeah. BX out on my nightly walk. Yeah, it's got to be a little bit cold in Brooklyn right now. I would venture to say it's a little cold. So yeah, listen, there's a lot of D's in there, Tony. Only a couple of L's. We need more W's. That's the only way this thing works.
Uh, I,
Lolo is
I,
Sean Connery from Highlander Ray. Ramirez. Yeah, nice
well,
one.
well, what I think you need to do, Ray, to switch it up one of these times, instead of putting win, draw, or loss, put 3, 1, or 0.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. I still don't think we played to our full potential, says Lolo. Yeah, I think we had a preseason prediction podcast, and one of the question was one of the questions were what would be the most amount of goals we score in a win? You know what I mean? I can't remember what I said.
You asked that we would score more than 6 goals in a game.
Right, and that's looking unlikely, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's very hard to score 7 goals in a game now. You might get six once in a while.
That's why very well at these predictions, right?
Lolo said he didn't think that we would give up 20 goals all season. Yeah, well, what are we lying at right now? 17, 18, 16 or 17 goals against. That's not horrible, you know what I mean? All right, so Tony,
It's not horrible, but for the cast layout, that just doesn't give you enough bang for your buck.
yeah. All right, so here's what I have. My copious notes for this podcast. My notes of Brentford and Brighton. Brentford and Brighton offer a unique opportunity for 6 quick points, Tony, before Liverpool play Manchester United at Anfield on Sunday. So we've got half the job. We've done half the job so far in this first part of January. We've beaten Brentford, and I think that's a handy. I think that's a pretty decent Brentford team. That Brentford team at the GTEC will give other teams and have given other teams some difficult days. So I think with the likes of Liverpool and other big teams going into Brentford, it might be difficult for them. But this only works if we get 6 points, and the next one is Brighton on Saturday, Tony, before Liverpool play.
So,
We could
so,
get
so,
we could get within 3 points of Liverpool.
we were talking about resurrections. Now we'll go back to what we always like to talk about: eggs in the basket. So how many eggs do you have put in the Premier League basket? How
Well,
many eggs do you put in the League Cup one? And how
I
many
don't
do
like
you?
what you're doing, Tony. I don't like this. I don't like what you're doing here.
Yeah, because you're realizing that we can't compete on
I am
four
going to
fronts.
put all my eggs. I'm going to channel my inner Gary here and put all my eggs in every basket.
Oh,
That's what Gary would do. Gary would be like, I don't like that. Arsenal go out to win every game. Arsenal go out to win every league game, every Carabao Cup game, every FA Cup game, every Champions
I,
League. There you go,
I,
treble.
I
I
would
want treble 20. I want a
I
treble
would
20.
probably go with the Champions League normally, but with this new format this year, I'm not sure if I'm leaning.
Why can't we have the same chest that Lolo is showing here? Come on, let's feel it. This is 2025. You know, the year is 2025, which is what we started off with talking about here. The year is 2025. You know, a little bit like Buck Rogers here. You know, I'm channeling my inner Buck Rogers. The year is 2025. Arsenal are on the hunt for trophies. Lolo has said a treble, and it's still on the table. We're in the Premier League. We got to get back into it a little bit. We're in a semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, a team that we can beat, the team that we can get past, and there's still an FA Cup to come against Manchester United and a Champions League. We should have some fun this year in the Champions League as well. Um, the manager will sabotage his own title charge. LOL. I think he has learned the lesson of Waneri and Odegaard, and he has started to play Ethan Waneri when Saka is not available. So there you
It
go.
just
I think the manager is learning BX. The manager is learning by his mistakes. It was a mistake not to put Waneri in for more minutes against when Odegaard was out. And I don't care how many blocks you have to build or bricks or whatever the hell he was talking about, right? You can carry 3 bricks while he's playing. It's been this long without a trophy. Let's get them all in one go. There you go. You're in it to win it. And do you know what the beauty of a good season, a good successful season, Tony, is? You're in all competitions when it comes to April. You know,
yeah, instead of our 3-year record, domestic cup exits the
yeah.
previous
I want to
two
be in
seasons.
contention in April. You want to be in an FA Cup. You want to have had won a Carabao Cup. You want to be getting that 9 points down to 4 points by April. You know,
Oh,
it happened last year. We overcame Liverpool last year. This is not a different Liverpool team. This is not a vastly different Arsenal team, and there is no excuses. Injuries cannot be an excuse, and you can hold that. You can hold that against me. You can remind me of what I'm saying right now, Tony, in future shows later in the season. Injuries to Odegaard, injuries to Bukayo Saka are not an excuse because we did have, and we have the ability of using other players in those situations. You know,
but can't we put Waneri and Odegaard's position on the bench and put Odegaard further attacking when because we're just the season before last. He had like 10 plus goals. He's got it in it. He's an accurate guy, but you're missing you're missing Saka. We all had him pegged for around 20 goals.
Yeah.
Of course, that was always contingent on being healthy, which we should have known that wasn't to happen. But to me, you got to make up those goals somewhere.
Yep.
And to
Haven't we
me,
seen it already though? Didn't we see it yesterday? With Mikel Mourinho scoring from midfield, Martinelli weighing in with a goal, and of course Gabriel Jesus, fighting tooth and nail to get us that equalizer.
that game sure looked like it was go the other way for a while.
Hmm.
And like I said, it was them when they would get the ball, they would be threatening to score every time. They might only have 30% of possession or whatever it ended up being,
Yeah.
but they made
Um,
the
Mikel
most
only
of
seems
every
to
bit.
learn when his hand is forced, says Stan. Um, BX said, I think we have a better shot at the other three competitions over the league, but let's go for it all. Yeah, you
But
can't throw in the towel to these Liverpool
I,
fans at
I,
all.
I, I kind of have these different takes than you do on us being pragmatic. To me, being pragmatic is like what we did when Odegaard went out. We went to a 4-4-2.
For one or two games. We didn't do it the
We,
whole
we, we,
7 or 8 he was out.
we did it a good 5 or 6 because Stan was happy. He was running around Vancouver with no pants on.
uh, Arteta's greatest achievement was winning an FA Cup with a team that wasn't his. 800 million later, he has a striker worse than one he started with, Aubameyang. But, Red John, it's about the whole team. Aubameyang, you would readily acknowledge Aubameyang was scoring all the goals. Bernd Leno was keeping the goals out, and that's how we were successful
Yeah, but he
back then.
wasn't.
Well,
Lacazette was
Bernd
good.
Leno was playing well, and Aubameyang was playing well that season. This team right now has got goals all over, balanced all over the field. This team has right now.
Uh, I don't remember if you seen the charts and stuff, but they had those graphs on how many points Arsenal had and how many goals Arsenal had when Uba was out there on the left. Arsenal did better. But
Yeah,
Arteta that last season just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna play him up the middle, and it didn't work. Did not work at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Then Smith
Um,
Rowe saved his
Stan
coaching career.
Stan goes on to say, "I will say that we are playing better. We are playing better under Mikel than we have in years. I just question his priorities when it comes to strengthening the team. And look, I think he's a manager who's growing and getting better. Obviously, after 5 years, he's getting close to being the finished article. I would say now, uh,
Ah,
success trophies will be the key in latter stages. We haven't really seen too much in latter stages of cup competitions, and that's where we need to see Mikel at his best as well. If there's no striker in the next transfer window, I have to turn on Arteta. Uh, I would have to agree with you. I mean, if you don't get something in the summer, that's horrible, really. You know what I mean? Strikerless 3 seasons already. Um,
it
Arteta
just
will never bring in an ego or killer while he's the manager. He can't manage elite superstars, which
uh,
I don't think is true because I was looking at a documentary about 1989 when Arsenal went to. They played that full season and they went to Anfield and won. Nobody says George Graham couldn't manage elite superstars. George Graham systematically removed players, senior players from that team, and he brought in young, hungry players who would run through a wall for him. That's what George Graham did, and he instilled discipline in the team. These are the things I see Mikel Arteta doing, but he's not going to get the credit that George Graham got.
I just think he's too cavalier and maverick because like,
I
you
don't
can
think,
say they're you can say inverted until you turn blue, but they're fucking they're wing
yeah, but
backs.
George
To
Graham.
me,
So George
you've
Graham was not
right. Let me
manager of Ian
finish.
Wright at the time.
You've spent all this money on defense, so why don't you just set the four fuckers back there, let them defend? You put one midfielder above them, then you have the other two midfielders more in an
Mhm.
attacking position, and when you got Saliba, hi Gary, when you got Saliba
Hello,
and
hello.
Gab, you got Saliba and Gabriel there in the middle. Fucking make a use of it and have the
Um,
guys next to them stay where they need to be. It's not that
yeah.
complicated.
Stan
I
says
think I, I just think he makes everything too complicated. You don't have to do all
it's
these.
the relentless
I
pursuit of control of games. You know what I mean? Controlling games without. I mean, we remember Unai Emery, Tony. You remember that Watford game? We faced something like 30 shots against us. That's not happening to us now. You know what I mean? Stan said we lack the variety up front that teams like Liverpool have. We have the variety of players. We just don't have the effectiveness of those players, and that's what we're missing. We're lacking the goals and chances taken off of those goals, or goals taken off of those chances. He clashed with Ian Wright. That was what's his name? The guy from Bolton. He was the Bolton manager. He came after George Graham and before Arsene Wenger. Ian Wright put in a transfer request. Raheem Sterling is a superstar. He just expired, actually. There you go. This is my club, Arsenal, just became history. This my club, Arsenal, just became history as biggest club in London because we're trophyless. EPL too long, 20 years, and never won Champions League. These are the things we want, Luthran. These are the things we want. We want uh, trophies for Arsenal, big trophies. Arteta is the
get
biggest ego in the dressing room. No one is bigger than him. No, well, I would say the club. Nobody's bigger than the club. BX. That's what I would say. You know,
get do you go back though, Ray? You had
I'm listening.
I'm trying to remember
Do you go
where
back? We
my
had. Do you go back? What in history?
can't
I don't want
remember.
no U-shaped football around the penalty box. I want us to be direct like Liverpool. Well, we'll see what happens with Liverpool every season. Yeah, Bruce Rioch, exactly. Stan, he's the one I think could clash with Ian Wright. Um, players are the game winners, not the manager. Some manager can't be upstaged by a player, and that's Arteta. Some managers can't be upstaged by a player. That's Arteta. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's the players who win the games, though, for you. Managers can lose a game, though. I don't know if it's Edu making the crap signings or Mikel. We'll find out soon. Edu is out, so maybe we are blaming Mikel for Edu's incompetencies. I think it's a collaborative. They get together and identify the correct player. In fairness, the position that we're in consistently now is in the last 2 3 years does tell us that the targeting of the correct players has been good. You know what I
That,
mean?
that's one of the things I forgot that I was to say. I wanted to go with it Monday with Gary, but to me, you're handcuffed right now because you want to go out, you want to get targets, but guess what? You don't have a fucking director of football right now,
They're saying
and,
that they can
and
do business without that. They're saying that won't hinder their search.
foul. They can say a lot of fucking things, right? But it doesn't make it true.
The PR machine, Tony. Um,
I mean, they can say a dude earned Angel in some local bar, but I'm sure somebody was sending Arsenal the tapes and the
Find us a
sound.
Louis Dunford somewhere, please. Um, Louis fan said we cannot let Arteta only compete, but without delivering
Fuck,
major
I would go.
trophies because compete just is like temporary happiness. Yeah, there's a point where we have been competing and we're happy. We have been happy to compete after where we were for the last 5 6 years. Now is the time to, like you put all this hard work into it. You go training, and you want to see the benefit of that training. You got yourself all trim. You got a 6 pack. Now you want to see the benefit of that 6 pack. You know what I mean? And that's going to be trophies for Arsenal. A 6 pack can be a benefit. A 6 pack can be for other things for other people. There we go.
Yeah,
Arteta doesn't allow for anyone to be the focal point of the team. Everything is distributed. I think you're
you
pretty harsh on Super Mick. Come on now.
you you should see what the six pack is on my show. Or
Let's see.
or
How
or,
Nuno.
or,
This is a good one. Like how Nuno, as Forest coach, only needed one season to make Forest compete top four. With a 95 million in his first transfer window.
or
2004, while Arteta need 3 seasons, meant Arteta finished second, top four, spent
you seen what turnaround that
So,
Emery did. You
yeah,
seen what
yeah,
Emery did in a year at Villa.
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be 5 or 6 years.
yeah. But you know what, Tony?
Like I
Those
said
things
that.
are not sustained. That kind of thing where you're putting Nuno out there and you're talking about Unai Emery, that's not sustainable success. You could argue that Mikel Arteta has brought Arsenal sustained success. Now, we haven't got the silverware yet. Yet. We haven't got the silverware. But um, there has been sustained progress and sustained success for
I,
Super Mick.
I don't even know if we've gotten the flatware, right?
The flat word.
Flatware, the knives and fork, the flatware.
The flat word. Um, yeah, listen. Nuno has done well as far as coach. Unai Emery has done well, but you're trying to compare the monies involved, and it's going to be completely different for what they're doing for their clubs. Alonso, welcome. How are you, Alonso?
Good, how you doing? Hey Ray, hey
Going
Tony,
well.
how's it going? Hey everyone in the chat. Happy New Year to everyone. Hopefully
Happy
you
New
guys had
Year.
a
Hope
good
you had a good Christmas as well.
hopefully you guys had a good holidays. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
alright. Yeah, I had to work.
But I,
Hi.
I, I have a hot take for you, right?
Yes.
Hi Tony.
That I want to, but my hot take is that you had this cavalier man that knew his way around the nightclubs of London, but he also bagged a fair amount of goals for being a lord. Lord Bentner. I think he's better than any of the attackers we got right now. Bar
Hey,
What?
Baka.
hey,
Wow.
hey, Tony, do you mean the streets of Norway?
Yeah, the Prince of Norway. Hamlet.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
at
but
Denmark. He's Danish.
he would
Danish,
give
Danish, sorry,
I
he
think
he
he's
would
Danish. Yeah.
Denmark.
he would, but he would tell like he would give all the new players the nightclubs to
Uh,
go to.
To be
Arteta would
fair,
never sign a Maverick player like Arshvin or Sanchez. Too much chaos.
That
Can't control it.
dude,
to be
that
fair,
ADHD, too much ADHD going on the
hey,
field.
as long as the Ventnor scored against Spurs, I'm okay with him. You know,
Lord Bentner. Yes, yes, yes.
he was quite a polarizing figure. I mean, to me, it seems like Wenger, right? The Wenger era had a lot of polarizing characters, like Archhaven, Brentner, you had your Nasseries, Sebastian Scrolacci, you know. Yeah,
Arteta wants humble little soldiers, no war heroes. Listen, we need war heroes in this team. Uh, it's true. If you're not humble, you miss tap-ins like Holland. Yeah, stay humble, eh, Tony?
yep, like Hazy's finally
Like
sometime during
Jesus.
the no somebody actually they like I said when I first joined on here tonight that he said they asked him what changed for her and it's like somebody told him to be humble, but it's like it didn't act like that was something that was recently said to him. It's like, well, what took you so long to
Yeah. All right.
get into a good
So,
old onion bag?
like I said, we got these two games. We got 3 points against Brentford. Next one coming up is Brighton away from home. A chance for some revenge against Declan
Down the
Rice.
beat,
Declan
down
Rice
down.
probably said Declan Rice probably said to Arteta, "I'll sit in the bench for Brentford, but I want to play against Brighton." You know what I mean? Um, Declan Rice will get his revenge against Brighton. After that, we got two cup games coming up. We got Newcastle. Mentioned Newcastle earlier in the podcast with the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, and the second leg we'll find the second leg in February.
Yeah,
Four
that's
weeks
kind of
from now.
like me. I'll find it fucking 5 years down the road.
Yeah, you'll find it in the snow somewhere, or dig it up out of dirt somewhere. And then next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend we got Man United at home in the FA Cup. A real glamour tie. You know what I mean? One of those where it's a little bit like Liverpool last year. Well, we do have home games, but I think Liverpool were the holders last year, and now Manchester United are the holders as well. So, Alonso, it's kind of a unique opportunity, a unique situation where Arsenal will be playing the FA Cup holders for 2 seasons in a row.
yeah. So if it cut right, if it cut,
FA Cup, yeah. Got Man
well,
United at home.
I think Man United are a wounded team right now. Even though it may seem healthy, it seems like there's no cohesion, there's no heart, there's no desire to
Yeah.
win anymore. Um, I don't even think Bruno Fernandez, aka Bruno Fernandes, is a captain that Manchester United esque kind of captain they had there. It seemed like he was basically picked because he's Portuguese, and at the time, Ronaldo was still at the club, right? So it doesn't make any. It's like a mess there, a mess that you know our biggest rival is Manchester United, right? And to see them do this bad is quite hilarious, but also quite sad because you used to them being at the top of the table doing well, and now they're just trying to hold their breath with pride, or not hold their breath, but just play every game with pride at least, because it's just not good over there. And they
Yeah.
assumed, at I guess, what is it? Swear Desmond, right? Is going to make things better, and he hasn't. Now, granted, he needs time, but I think the worst case scenario to be in coaching is during the season. It just doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
their downfall at Manchester United is hilarious, but they had talent there, and it doesn't make any sense on why they're doing this bad. So I think they're most likely they could get eliminated, and I'm glad it's going to be us, because
Mm-hmm.
they're just a wounded duck right now, trying to
Yeah.
tread water.
They're like that wounded animal, and blood is streaming down their hind leg. Um,
You're forgetting what they are, Ray. They're their fucking stadium. You seen that in the heavy
Oh
rains
yeah.
the last
yeah,
year. That place
I'm
was
not forgetting. I'm not forgetting
ready to
about that
fall
at all,
apart.
because I was going to reference the flooding from the stadium, and now they have like a mouse infestation as well all over the stadium. So, but they're like that wounded animal in the savannah, in the savannas of Africa, and every every kind of predator species is looking at them. Like an alligator be like, I just stay in the water here, I'll have a little bit of that. Or a lion cub or something, lions are going to take them down, or hyenas or something like that, and they're just
Or if a real killer is Ray, the hippos.
who.
Hippos. Hippos. Hippos kill more people than any other animal.
There's a
Yes,
lion.
they don't. They can be so easily overlooked, like I just did. I just disrespected the whole hippo
Did
nation there.
did
Stands
you
at
catch
11
I?
Man United's collapse. Uh, how, how they could hope they get relegated. Yeah, I mean
Did,
that would be just like, I think there are three teams that are just about worse than Man United in the league right now. So that's a
You
Ray,
bit of a
know,
stretch.
I gotta tell you
did
guys,
you? Go ahead.
I gotta tell you guys a story.
Yeah.
So you guys know about at a grocery store, right? And I saw this kid, right? And he was wearing a Wolves cap, and
Was
I
it
was
what?
like, man,
Wolves.
I was like a Wolves cap, Wolverhampton.
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Yeah, and he was like about 8 or 9, and I told his dad was there too, and his dad was like, and I was like, and I hope they stay up this year, and I was like, I'm an Arsenal fan, and he goes, I just hope that Everton gets sit down. And his dad said, I'm an Everton fan. I'm like, oh well. As he gets for talking about Arsenal, but it was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know he was an Everton fan, so I was like, I never forget when Everton, right, stayed
Yeah.
up, and how big of a mess that NBC Sports made a big deal out of it. I'm like, bro, if I were an Everton fan, I would get pretty embarrassed that they got that
The,
bad in
Yeah.
the league to stay up and have a big fuss out about it. Anyway,
well, the VAR is the only reason they're in the Premier League. They
right.
might have been back
Very
by
true.
now.
Yeah. Very true.
Did did
Um,
did did,
yeah.
did you catch my hand, Ray, and
Oh,
notice that I got
I
a
just see it
uh,
now.
yeah, that I got an Arsene Wenger wound? So
It's like it's like
somehow
the it's like you
the
thought there was
zipper
like
got the best of me.
you cut a chip out of your hand or something, like you thought you were microchipped or something.
No,
You know what I mean?
it was
The
the zipper
government's
on
government's following you, so you
the
know.
zipper of a hoodie, Ray.
Like an Arsene
Well,
Wenger.
why didn't they just give him a like a button down puffer jacket or something? He didn't have to have a zipper on
He
it,
could
did it?
never operate the zipper on those things. You know, remember Arsene Wenger? It's getting cold. I'm gonna put the puffy jacket on.
What was that? Was it Nike or Puma? It was Puma. Wasn't it Puma? Right? Or was it
Puma, I
Nike?
think.
It,
Yeah.
Was it?
it was Nike, Puma,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
right.
all
Yeah.
of them. And he went through all the.
Yeah. So listen, we got cup games, Newcastle and Man United. We just talked about. Now we come back to the middle part of the month here, and
Oh,
we're gonna play Tottenham and Aston Villa at home at the Emirates.
you know, it's funny because it's a weekday game, right? It's a Wednesday game for a Tottenham Arsenal,
Yes,
which
North London Derby. Yeah.
in my remembrance, so the first year I started watching Arsenal was 2008-9 season, 08-09.
Yeah.
And I remember being at the pub on a weekday watching that game, watching that derby. It was that game whenever Tottenham won. It was Ninley. It was their captain had scored. What's his name?
Who?
Ninley. What's his name? Tottenham was captain at the time. It was Ninley something.
Don't know.
Well, he was kept anyway. But
Tottenham. I
yeah,
don't know. What year was this?
2009.
2009. Was
I
he a
was
defender or a midfielder?
midfielder, I think,
Oh,
or maybe defender.
yeah. Go on anyway. I'll
Anyway,
wait for
anyway,
you.
he had scored, I think, in the later part of the game, and that's my first recollection of the derby. Anyway, but yeah, that's how I remember them being on a week. Nidalee King, that's right. He scored. Yeah, Nidalee
Len the
King.
King stands on it tonight.
Yeah, so he scored and was pretty upset. But that was the last time I remember them being on a weekday derby match. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But, this Tottenham team, they continue to want to play. Orange continues to play the way he wants to. And it's not going to give them success long term. They were horrible against Liverpool over the holiday period. Um, not good at all. And I think they've only won one game in the last few. So, and of course they beat Man United in the Carabao Cup as well. And then
They've been shockingly poor the last two
yes,
seasons.
they have been. And then we get Unai Emery coming to the Emirates on the 18th with Aston Villa. Aston Villa is another team. Look, I think that they excelled and played really well in the Champions League to get to the position that they were in. But at the end of the day, they don't have a big enough squad to sustain Premier League and Champions League. And they're getting found out in the Premier League because of their exploits in the Champions League. I happen to think actually to a lesser extent it's happening to Liverpool as well. That they've started off really well and they're riding the crest of a wave. I'm just waiting for one or two things. Well, Liverpool have faltered against Fulham and Newcastle last month. We just didn't take advantage against Fulham and Everton at home.
That's one of the things I forgot to say, Ray, because you had Liverpool. If they just stayed calm, they would have won the league. Instead, they went to getting the League Cup and FA Cup, and
Yeah.
instead City just went on a very poor run, and not 9 or 10 points quickly became 1 or 2 points, and if Liverpool then gassed themselves out in the domestic cups, they would have won the league.
Yeah. And how recently was that, Tony?
I think it was three. Was it 3 seasons ago?
Yeah, not so long ago, really, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, listen, we need to beat Brighton. Obviously, it's gonna be a tough month coming up. Beat Brighton, we want to win every game, right? So it sounds easy. Beat Brighton, beat Newcastle, give yourself a good margin for a second leg at Tyneside. Manchester United knocked them out of the FA Cup. It's easy peasy. You beat Tottenham in a Northern derby. You beat Aston Villa, Unai Emery's Aston Villa, and avenge them for what they did to us in April. And then you got Dinamo Zagreb. You know, we've done some good work to get ourselves in a good position in Champions League and finish in that top eight. We'll want to continue that work against Dinamo and Girona. And then we have a Wolverhampton Wanderers away from home. So pretty easy, Alonso. I'm expecting nothing less than another 7 wins.
Yeah, and but you never know. Some of these games can be kind of tricky. As we know in the past, that sometimes teams that are weaker than us kind of catch them off guard, and we get a goal in, and sometimes most likely it works out in our favor. But
Yeah.
you never know, like Bournemouth, right? They're supposed to destroy them, but something happened where at least we got yellow carded, and that was an end for Arsenal. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the Tottenham game. I think it'll be cool to watch them play midweek. I already had the day off, or at least I requested the day off. So yeah, looking forward to how it works out. I think it'll be important for Arsenal just to see how they play in the Carabao Cup. To see if they can beat Newcastle 2 times in a row. Yeah, it's really interesting. Especially games for Arsenal, and I think Villa are weak right now. I think they have a lot of games that they didn't really expect to play that much, and I think that their lack of depth in their bench has kind of cost them being in Europe and all. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm kind of liking how it's going to work out for us in January and February, or in February now.
Alonso, we're going to have to go pretty strong against Newcastle in the
Mhm.
Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
because
because
they're definitely to go strong. So
yeah,
They will
because
go strong, yeah.
they
You have
seem to always they seem to always
right.
bully Arsenal, and because their height and all that, and their coach, their manager, Eddie Howe is always up for it. Seems like, and they seem to play their best against Arsenal, and also Isak is playing really well as well. So hopefully the back four will be up for it. Eh, and they always play strong against us. I don't know why, but that's in our backbone is playing against Newcastle. So
Yeah.
hopefully Arteta has something to plan for them.
All right. What was it the best draw we could have gotten? I believe it probably was. You know what I mean? You don't
I
want to
mean,
get involved in the Northern Derby semifinal yet. You know what I mean?
good old bouncing balls were generous to us.
I think
Uh,
in hindsight, I think every Arsenal fan wants them, but I think it'd be best in our biggest stages in the Carabao Cup final.
yeah.
Um, but I think Liverpool will be too strong for them. So it'll be like what day 5,000 without a cup.
It'll
um,
be interesting. It will be interesting, especially for Liverpool, who will have Premier League fixtures they need to win points in. Um, Champions League game. I think they're probably okay in Champions League games, but how they treat that Carabao Cup will be important. You know what I mean? In terms of the level of first teamers, the amount of first teamers that will be in that team. Dominic.
It doesn't matter, eh? You seen what they did with a bunch of 15 and 17-year-olds. They beat us 5-5
Yeah,
on penalties.
against one of the worst Chelsea teams last season. You know, in February, and Chelsea have improved a lot in 10 months. You know what I mean? Tony, take me through your thoughts about January in total. We got Brighton coming up, then we got those two cup games, and then two big Premier League games against Villa and Tottenham.
To me, you're not to go. You're not to pull out the Tierneys. You're not to pull out the Jorginhos. and give these guys some rest because you can't continue going playing every 2 to 3 days with this limited of a squad, especially with your best player out for another 2.5, 3 months. Might not really play any part of the remainder of the season. So to me, you have to choose your battles. That's why I asked you, what eggs do you put your basket in? Do you try to go for the Champions League? Do you try to go for the league, which is kind of out there since Liverpool's out there with 9 points? But to me, you got to choose your battles and make the most of your squad.
Yeah.
And you got to get more starts for Quinary. And like I said, you might think about putting Odegaard in front of him behind. So you actually have him out there attacking because we're still a season removed from him having 10 plus goals, and that was 10 plus assists. He's a
Yeah.
clinical guy. I'm just tired of seeing him back in the fucking defense because
Wow.
we basically
He's getting
play,
opportunities, though, isn't he?
but we basically play with three holy midfielders. Yeah, but that's because he has a vision like him and Gabriel and your favorite Belgianist, Pashard. I mean, those guys have the vision to do that. But that's
Wealthy.
Odegaard isn't put in a position where he could help the team more. And like I said, you're without Saka, so you got to get a boost of goals from somewhere. And I don't think you're going to get that last scene out of Gabriel. Mr. Jesus did his dramatic
Yeah.
resurrection at
I
Christmas
don't think
instead
we
of
can
Easter.
rely on Jesus scoring the amount of goals he has done in these last 4 games,
No,
right?
I don't think you can on Ty either because I think he's kind of hitting where he's kind of a little bit of burnout or something. He hasn't looked as sharp and as
So
crisp as he.
um, for January, Tony, give me one name, one player that you'd like to see come in that's reasonable. Arsenal could go get.
It's still, I I think you try to tempt a Premier League team.
Hmm.
There's a few strikers, few wingers out there that would really help us this season and go in the next. But I'm almost at the point where you have to have like 250 or $60 million players because we need the winger for cover for Saka to fill his spot for now. But you gotta get a guy like I keep saying, you gotta get this 60 to 80 million dollar player that's sitting on the bench
Hmm.
because you got that level of competition. You gotta get that level of depth. You have to have these elite. You don't have to call them world class, but these elite players that there might be only like 5 or 6 players better than them in the world, and there's just there. So I don't know. I think you have to kind of fill both holes because you definitely need to do a striker, and I mean you could get by on the winger if you played Pissard more, but and if you played Winery more, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think you kind of need just an out and out
Any names?
winger.
Any
I
names?
mean, Not really. I mean, it's kind of the ones that you always bring up. I don't think there are any new names up there.
Alonso, any one player you'd like Arsenal to bring in that's reasonable?
Don't say Karen Gibbs.
Kieran
No,
Gibbs,
I actually thought about him.
notwithstanding.
I wonder how he's been doing. No, but if there was one player I'd bring in currently, um, wow,
Be like Ray
it's
and bring in
to,
Isaac.
to get a little bit overrated, I believe. And he's older, of course, but I wouldn't mind bringing Raul Jimenez.
Raul
Just
Jimenez from Fulham, he's kind of resurrected his career after the accident at
especially
Emirates.
at Fulham. So
Hmm.
I know it's a silly pick, but he'll come in as a cheap, cheap guy, and he'll bring a little spark, I believe, to
Hey,
the team.
it doesn't matter. It could be a cheap buy, but it needs to be. It could be a player who hits the ground running and scores goals for Arsenal. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
could buy
and
the
like
expensive player and it wouldn't happen, or you could get a medium mid-range price player and it just goes on for seasons where he's scoring goals. Like Mo Salah when he came from Roma to Liverpool. It can happen. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I know Tony always talks about overspending for players and all that stuff. So I think if we were to get someone, it has to be on the cheap, and there are players out there, but they always had to overbuy or overthink that we had to overpay for someone who's not going to be that well in the system that Arteta has, and we've overspent a lot, but you know, uh, it's time that we get someone on the cheap. And Danny Welbeck has also been playing well for
Yeah.
Brighton, but I
Yeah.
know he's had a lot of injury issues. So I wouldn't mind even buying someone from the championship, um, just to see how it works out because Arteta has a knack for improving players that were damaged at previous clubs. So
Mm.
you know, I don't mind, but they had to be smart about it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, as you can see in the caption there below, we're 50% through the season. Premier League. We played 19 games. We've acquired 43% of the 90 points. So we're a little bit behind the eight ball. We're about 6 points off where we needed to be to get to 45 at the halfway point. And a lot of work to come next in this coming season with especially big games at home. And this
Again, I'm
month
going to
we'll
attack
see
you
us
on your.
play Tottenham and Villa at home. Yeah.
I'm going to attack you at your percentage again, Ray, because I think you could probably set it at 85, 86 points
Yeah.
to get you the league.
Yeah. I think you're right in this situation where we're not fighting Man City. So that means the ceiling of points will come down by 4 or 5 points, where 93 points would get you the league against City, maybe, right? And Liverpool fans would beg to differ on a couple of occasions when they needed 199 points, some or 98 points. But 5 points off that will be in the high 80s of 88. So yeah, I would agree with you on a couple of those fractions there, Tony. Instead of 90 points, call it 88. But I'd rather get 105% of my target. If the target's 88, then I'll sell for 90. You know what I mean?
So, do you think your second club you support, Liverpool, will they sell one of their three players that are
Yeah.
out of contract
Well,
this winter window?
they, if this was Arsenal, if we were an Arsenal podcast
Oh,
and the likes of Ben White, let's say Ben White and Saliba and Saka, you know, if the club allowed their contracts to run down in this situation, how annoyed would you be with the Cronkies right now?
as much as I was 3 or 4 years ago.
So that would be pretty annoyed, you know. It's just a ridiculous situation where Liverpool and look, I hope that that becomes a little bit of the narrative at Liverpool, and I'll take any edge and any advantage that we can in this title race. If Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah and Trent are talking amongst themselves in the dressing room and taking 5 or 10% away from their performance levels in a game, away at Brentford or away, you know, at Chelsea, I'll take that and they can drop some points where Arsenal can take advantage. You know, I,
But
I think I think the league season has been set up to where Liverpool had the first 18 games. They had a lot of big games at home, and they've won all of the games at Anfield at the big games. Now we're going to get this. We're going to get it at Arsenal, where we're going to have the big games at the Emirates, and we need to go pick up points like Liverpool did. You know, some of their games they struggled in, but they still got the points. Arsenal need to do something similar um, in the second half of the season. Anything else to talk about, Alonso?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite fascinating how we're still second despite missing our best players,
Yep.
Saka and Odegaard, and people won't talk about that much. We've missed Rice from games. Ben White's been missing. I think
Yep.
people take for granted how good he's been in the past with Bukayo Saka. So Arteta has been having to change his team around a lot lately, and I know Tony doesn't like this, but this is where I'm glad we have defensive depth finally. After all these years, we have defensive players that can fill in for Ben White, for Calafiori.
Yeah.
Um, and you can tell because now you're seeing Zinchenko not even play anymore, not even start. You're seeing Miles Lewis Kelly take his place most of the time. Uh, and
I'm
you're
going to
seeing
beat you.
Ethan when you're getting more playing time, which is a good thing. So
Yeah.
you're seeing a mixture of veteran players and youngsters finally taking uh, playing time due to injury and rotation matters. So with all these things considered, I think where we're at right now says a lot about the players and their manager as well.
Yeah. I think some very good points there, especially Mikel Arteta having to manage the. And look, he might have taken some risks in some areas with Declan Rice, but for the most part, he's managing the situation. It's not ideal. Tony, hopefully injuries will clear up a little bit. Um, I know because Saka's going to be out till what, March maybe, so we have to
yeah,
get
well,
through the
like
next few
like I
months.
said, they said mid-March, so that doesn't say if it's a be for him training or being ready to go play. I mean, like I said, it's probably his season's pretty much over because he's just
Well,
you get a
you could
little bit
say
of
that, but
fitness.
mid March, when you get back in mid March, still have 2 months of football left.
Oh no,
April and May. You know.
I just don't want to see him rust back. It's
Well,
time to.
I tell you what, if we're in a situation like I said earlier, where you're in contention in most competitions in April, he'll be. You got to get him back into the team and scoring for us.
Yeah, but
There's one player that I think got screwed over is Raheem Sterling. I don't know why Arteta decided to take him on alone. Um, now he's hurt, so you probably won't even see don't see enough of him, and I think it's a
It sounds
waste.
like, yeah, it sounds like a situation where a friend is in need, and Mikel's like, sure, you can come. sleep on my couch for a few sleep on my couch for a few months, get your feet back.
Well, why are we a refugee camp, right?
I don't know. We're
Uh,
Mikel's refugee camp.
I mean, we had David Luiz. We had the
Willie,
Mad Pat. We had the Mad Patted Hatter also from Chelsea. I mean, they kept going to Chelsea for all these
yeah,
players. You had a 36-year-old goalkeeper that was a 40-year-old goalkeeper because usually in that 34 to 36 year window, I mean, you're in pretty good shape. You've seen it with us with Lehman when he's 36, 37 years old. He was doing great things for us. So, I mean,
yeah. That's definitely good points there, Tony. I think over the last three games we've walloped Palace 5-1. We struggled against Ipswich to beat them 1-0, and we had a very good professional performance at Brentford 3-1. Uh, there's all those three results are vastly different to each other, but main thing is Arsenal keep winning, and we have to do it again at Brighton. And I don't think Brighton have been the team that they've been earlier in the season, so expecting us to rock up there again. It's not a very long trip. I think it's 12 out of 13. This is the one out of 13 where you go out of London, and it's not far to travel either, Tony.
and like I said, a little trip to the beach and
A little trip to the beach, but bring a stick of rock back home, or 3 points indeed. Um, Tony, thanks for joining tonight. It's been fun getting back into it. I was away
yeah,
for a little bit,
yeah.
but
You got punished. You had to do a 30-minute monologue by yourself.
I had to do 30 minutes monologue indeed.
Try,
Um,
try doing that for 3 hours and 40 minutes, right?
I couldn't. I couldn't. If I'd been out there by myself for 30 minutes, it would have probably been a 55-minute podcast, not a 2 hour and 30 or whatever, 40 minutes it is now. And
I'm sure as soon as you see me in the back room, you're like, come
no,
on
I'll be here.
already.
I'm here. I'm here. Alonso, thanks for dropping in as well. It's been good to see you again.
Yeah, Ray, thanks for having me on. Thanks, Tony, for listening, Ray. I kind of
Seeking.
missed
Yeah.
out on some upset specials, but it's alright. Anyway, I good to see everyone in the chat box. Stan BX, Paul Pot, aka Colonel Ward. Good to see you guys. Big Red,
Current Ward.
whoever else stopped by. Good to see you guys as well.
All right. That's it. We'll see you again on Sunday, I think. Yeah,
No,
that's how
no,
this thing
no.
works.
Right,
Thursday
no,
and
no, no
Sunday.
more sending out the upset challenge at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Well, please do.
Well, that happened on Sunday because I was traveling. And
Battery.
you will also have an opportunity to send me your pick ahead of my publishing of the fixtures. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I have to know how many who gives a fuck games a week we got.
All right. Well, we're going to go backstage and we'll talk about that then, Tony, right now. I have the list right here. So we'll do all of that, okay? Alonso, again, thanks for joining. And we will see everybody back here with 3 more points from Arsenal against Brighton. And Liverpool will have been beaten by a Virgil van Dijk own goal on Sunday. And the gap will be 3 points. There you go.
I'm just glad we didn't get enough likes where I had to sing London Calling.
Yeah, what we need 3 more. 3 more likes. Quick, quick, quick. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody. We're out.
No.